Here's a rough box that most kilns come with that are automatic kilns. They do various different things depending on the age of your kiln and when it was received, but I'll go through some basic things you can do with it. This will help out with this a little bit here. Programming your kiln. How it kind of works. We want to set it for a cone fire. So you start here with this one and everything else is what you're going to do. So you hit cone fire. You'll have a preheat setting. We'll talk about preheat a little bit. We're going to skip that for now. So I'm going to go to cone, temperature I'm going to fire. It's going to be 04. That's just the cone temperature we set it to. Some might be 06, all depends on you. I hit enter, then it goes to speed, which I'm gonna fire. If it is a bisque, you wanna do slow. If it's a glaze, you wanna do medium. Fast, if you're in crunch, you can do it for glaze fast. It's a little bit harder in the elements, but really gonna stay between these two here is what you're going to do. So this is my first fire, I'm gonna hit slow, then I enter again. It has a hold, which you're not holding it. That keeps the temperature held for a certain time, which you don't wanna do. And then there we go. And then once it's all programmed in, I hit start. It will say on. You'll start clicking, testing the relays, and then it will begin to fire your kiln. Only difference for you guys from a bisque to a glaze is how fast the kiln goes is what you want to do. And that's pretty much how you program a SCUT automatic kiln. There is also something we can use called the delay function, which is kind of a cool thing to do, especially let's say you get done loading the kiln, it's late, you know you can't fire it for that day, and you just want to let it sit for a day. You can program a delay into it so it starts firing first thing in the morning when you show up. So I've hit delay fire. I want to put that in, let's say 24 hours. Let's say I had to get done at 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. I'm gonna have it start firing, and I'll be in around 7. So I can hit start on that, and then I go to cone fire, program it like I normally would. Program's already in there, hit start. Here's the cool part, it'll come up. It will say delay for 24 hours and this will click off. Once that hits the 24-hour mark, it will then go back and start firing the kiln as you had it set for. That's one thing it will do, to start firing the kiln. So this is kind of a cool trick to use, this delay function. When you're done, it's a late night, you can't watch your kiln, you want to start it the next day, you hit delay and have it start an hour before you show up and it will start firing with this automatic kiln function. So that's kind of a cool trick you can have. The next thing we're talking about is how to preheat your kiln. This is a good thing to have. It keeps the kiln at a very low temperature, 180 degrees, which is below boiling, which will help your product or your piece from not exploding because it doesn't let the water boil, which might be trapped in the clay and make it go kaboom. There's another thing you can do for it. How it kind of works is I start like I do a normal cone fire. The first thing pops up is the preheat function. I'll set it for 5 hours. You can set it for 8 if you want to. That's something you can do with your kiln and stuff like that. Once it's set for 5 hours, I go for the cone. I program it in, go slow, don't worry about the hold. And then it's ready to start going. And the cool part about it, it will start showing up in a minute. As the preheat will start cooking, it'll start clicking, and then it'll preheat the kiln up to that 180 degrees and we'll let it go past it. It's a good thing to dry out maybe a little bit of clay you might have left, some items stuff you might just kind of be finishing up, stuff like that to kind of wrap up your final pieces and everything else. As you can see right there, it's starting to click and go to the temperature it needs to be. I always recommend, I always tell people, it's always better to let things sit longer and dry out more. And it's a better thing to do, but just in case you're ever worried, you can always just preheat function. It makes your firing go a little bit longer, but really helps make sure your pieces are good and dry. Another great thing about this kiln, when you're firing it, you can call the review function. If I hit the review function, it will go through everything the last fire did. Tell me what it did, what temperature it reached, the speed it went at, everything it went through it. But the cool part at the very end of this here, it will tell you like how much the kiln cost to fire, how many times the kiln's been fired there at the very end is what it says there. So it says, this kiln's been fired 75 times. It does include, though, I will let you know, like if you start, stop, or make mistakes. So that does one thing, let you know. So some of you guys' kilns probably don't have very many in them. Some of them will. It all just depends on how many times your kiln has been fired. There's some really cool features you can do to diagnose this kiln. They see how it's operating and how it's working. And that helps out with this a little bit. I showed you some tricks with the manual kilns by filling heat with your hands, to make sure it's all working, double checking how the relays don't make sure they don't stick. But this kiln gives you some really cool features to really double check your kiln to make sure it's firing properly. So you do up here is you hit the menu button, and then I can hit diagnostics, I hit enter, and I go back up to menu again, and I go for voltage. This will tell me how much voltage my kiln is pulling through. Right now it's going for this one, 207, which is what you want to do, which means it's pulling the proper voltage and stuff like that you want to have, which is a good thing. The other thing you can also do is you can also check, and clear it out. There's another thing I can also do with this. I can come to diagnostics. Amps is the next one we want to do here, which is amps. So I come here with the amp function. This shows me how my relays are working. There's 3 relays in this kiln. So I'm at 19 for the top. Amp number 2 is 18 on the bottom, middle one, and the very bottom one, which amp number 3 is also 19, which means all my relays are working really well, which is a good thing.